Hey everybody, Brandon from the Today's Good. Super excited today to bring in Justin. I did our announcement yesterday. This is Justin Klein. Justin Klein grew up with me in Manchester.
Yep.
We go back a long ways. Justin fell in with us just because of knowing him and kind of things aligned, I would say, on... We went through kind of the same, I would say, sobriety and stuff pretty close to the same time.
Correct, yes.
We started our journeys, and we have definitely realized our journeys have been far different, but very much similar, I would say, in how we've gone about them. So I want Justin to kind of tell you about himself a little bit. Justin, where did you go to West Delaware? When did you graduate?
Yes, so actually graduated in 2008, went to West Delaware, grew up on a farm just about 7 miles north of Manchester, a little town called Dundee. But yeah, Brandon, real quick, like we were talking about our story there, our paths have crossed many times.
Many times.
I mean, this isn't the first time we're like, hey, you went to Manchester, or hey, we should do this now. Like, I mean, we can get into that.
I could go into that hardcore, but
yeah,
the amount of times that it almost like this all aligns to, and we are step cousins.
Yeah.
We have best friends that were brothers.
Right.
We have, through the now collision side of things that I never thought I'd be in.
Acquaintances.
Now coming back to this,
Yeah.
I don't even think we've probably covered a tenth of them, because out there we just
Right.
kept making triangles, but long time. But Justin and I've never been super close.
No.
By any means. But we've always respected each other, I feel, from a distance.
That's correct, yep.
Kind of knowing, because he'd show up at my mom's house hanging out drinking with my older brother, but I can't tell my stepmom because my stepmom will tell his dad. So we've had this respect of who we are, but we're a lot alike, but we also have a lot of differences. And
that's correct, yep.
I'm really excited to bring this on because through our conversation and our prep time, I definitely had a perspective, I would say. Okay, I'm mind blown at this point already, is what I'm going to say. And we don't even know where we're going, but I've already seen benefits to myself to the point my stomach hurt going into this. So, Justin, what did you grew up on a farm with your parents then, or?
Yeah, so I mean, starting out here, grew up on a farm just south of Dundee. Me and my sister, parents together. About 6 years old, parents got a divorce, and I mean,
Where'd you end up living then? Did you live with mom? Did you live with dad?
So lived with dad, and then it was split custody between mom and dad, but dad was a primary holder, I would say.
Okay. Obviously, with my whole divorce and everything going on, did you have was it a good break? Was it clean? Was it on and after, I would say, break? Did you guys have a normal split? I'd say split's not normal, but...
Yeah, no, I mean, look at today's world, what is it? I don't even know. I'm just guessing 50% divorce rate. It might even be higher than that right now.
Through COVID, it's probably higher.
Yeah, so when you click maybe in the beginning and then stuff just went sideways. I don't know the full story on that. Yeah, I just know, I remember I was about 6 years old, my little sister.
But not on the splitting side. I'm saying, after that splitting, and you're with dad, but you have split, was it healthy back and forth? Did you live a good split family? Yeah,
I mean, there's good and bad with everything. I mean, but if I had to, be 100% honest with you,
and you have to say which way. Just was it healthy?
Yeah, it wasn't healthy.
Okay.
There's no, I don't care who you are, any divorced family, any kid is gonna face some sort of trauma, or they're just, it's tough. It's tough for kids because you got mom and dad that don't like each other, and even in a good family household, mom and dad still fight in a good family household.
Oh yeah.
That's just our nature.
Yeah.
Normal, Yeah, so it's
working
just,
through it.
I think with a divorced family though, it's a little bit more difficult because now you're picking and choosing between mom and dad, and no kid should ever have to choose.
You almost
between
feel like
mom
a
and-
prisoner. Like
You
feel,
do.
You're like you're a prisoner. To
Exactly. I didn't feel free. I mean, what it comes down to, that's what it was, you know. And then we grew up in Manchester, so you know, you got Manchester's a very tight, small community.
Was
you
mom?
know-
I know Dad was on the farm. Did Mom stay in?
No. So mom, we moved around a lot.
Okay.
I mean, I think we moved probably. I'm not 100% sure, but I'd say probably 14 different places I lived,
Okay.
and from 6 to 18.
Okay.
You know, so
almost
it
once a year.
was a lot of moving.
I moved a lot as a kid too, and
Yeah, you know,
I
but
still hate moving this day because of it.
but my dad stayed at home on the farm, which was a primary, so that was a solid stay for me. You know, like it could call a place my home for my entire childhood was, you know, the farm.
Yeah.
And now Michelle, my sister, she's got the farm. My grandpa had the farm.
I didn't know.
Now
Michelle, I
little-
didn't know Michelle had the farm.
Yeah, she's living on the farm
I
now.
saw Dad's new place. Like
Yes.
back, I went back to the fair, and me and Jay were driving around
Yep.
trying to get the kids to sleep, and I was like, "Who the hell built that?"
Yeah.
And he told me, I was like,
So now
this-
Michelle's on the farmhouse, and then
Got
she
it.
has a daughter, and she's on. So there's 4 generations in that house right now.
Wow.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My stepmom grew up in that house. It goes back to my dad's house. Really?
Yeah, here we go.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So you call it home, and the farm was home.
Mm-hmm.
And just in short passing of conversation we've had,
Yep.
I know that definitely both places had its struggles between
Right.
mom and dad's.
Yep.
And do you feel that maybe the farm became a place that you kind of spited a little bit just from talking to you, maybe because you did feel there was some hostility and you felt trapped a little bit?
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, that was the biggest thing. You know, like where I grew up, the farm. I actually did enjoy the kind of farm life. I mean, my grandpa, he'd come out all the time, help Dad farm. So I got to have that bond with my grandpa. But then when everything started to split a little bit, it was again back to the parent situation. You know, where mom and dad don't get along. This is my time. This is my time for mom. My time for dad. They don't really at that point. It's just a game you're playing.
It's
you
a
know,
game. It's a
because
giant
you know if you don't,
game.
if you don't like your significant other, you know, but you love your kids.
The
You know,
kids become property.
They do.
And
that's exactly what
and,
happened.
and that's what I've heard
Yeah.
a lot is kids become property. So obviously there's a lot of trauma that came from this whole breaking and
Yep.
not going into details, but did that affect you long term?
Yes, honestly, you know, I think as people, individuals, in today's world, we're all competing with each other. You know, you want to say, oh, my life's great, I have this fancy new toy, I got this, I got that. So my mom used to say it a lot. She would say, hey, I'm putting on this mask, covering up my emotions. In a sense, I did the same thing. You know, I thought everything was good from the outsiders to me. Like, oh yeah, Justin, you know, everything's great. They got everything going on. Even you. You know,
I was like,
everybody got
perfect.
Yeah, and that's where me and Brandon are going to go with this story. Is like it was.
I was family living within the family.
Yes,
so,
it was like a success story, you know. But
mhm.
deep down, I mean, that's why I'm here actually with Brandon right now. Deep down, you know.
It became a success story.
Yeah.
And there's a hell of a path to it. I mean,
Yes.
It looks like a success story then, but
Yeah.
it was. It was. Yeah. It ended up being. And I'm telling you, this story is awesome, and we don't want to go too deep because we want to keep this thing moving. So
Right.
if we feel like we're moving along, that's why we're trying to get to the meat, and we're going to jump. But obviously, you carried this trauma through this whole childhood, and eventually, you kind of released from it where you didn't feel captive so much
Right.
of the whole situation.
Right.
But there still was that deep trauma, I know, talking to you in the past of just, you couldn't anger. Anger. And you had some anger going on. And
Yep.
do you think that anger and being kind of released from it and getting some chances in high school, at a high school age, to now be free
Mm-hmm.
led to things. Because definitely for me, like,
Yeah.
I ran.
Yeah.
And I was free.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure. I know you got to that where you weren't stuck on the farm necessarily.
Right.
Did it lead to the same things it did, like, for me? I mean, I ran and drank a lot.
That's exactly what happened, actually. It was, to in a sense, if I was at home on the farm or whatever, I wasn't getting in trouble. We're getting work done and stuff. But then on the essence, I'm in town now. I don't want to be on the farm because, you know, I'm a young teenage boy. I want to go out and party. I want to have fun. You're seeing others. I want to be the kid that's hanging out with the older kids. Well, what are the older kids doing? They're partying, they're drinking. I'm drinking with guys that are 4 years older than me. So it started at a very young age. So,
and same here.
You know?
And I think it leads to, and we obviously are very social people.
Right.
And we both had lived some pretty dark worlds for a while. And we didn't, once we found that social aspect, because I didn't say I've seen you party from we're the same damn party here.
Oh, yeah.
We hit that social part, and it was like, oh my God. Like, I'm the fun guy.
Yep.
Right? But it was so natural for me to just, I don't know, I felt happy and I felt at peace when I found that social one.
That's exactly how I felt the same way. Little did we know, or little did I know, kinda this was a path that was starting down a bad path. You know, you have people telling you this, hey, you know, stop that drinking, you're too young for that, you're going to ruin your life, you're not going to go to college, you're going to this and that. And then on top of that, again, the divorce and everything. So I'm essentially, it's, you know, as a parent now, you see that, you know, you tell your kids to do one thing, they go do the other.
Yeah, 100%.
That's, I mean, I
100%,
played,
and they do the opposite.
Exactly.
And you're wasting your goddamn breath.
You are.
All of the meat and the reasoning why, because you're already screwed it. You might as well say the other one, and they're going to go the other way.
That's
and
right.
I have learned that, like, helping young kids. I've been a lot lately trying to help as many people as I can, but the young kids you're involved with, wasted breath.
Right.
Like, wasted breath. I don't even know. I've tried to figure out where is the support, and how do you support from over here, because getting too involved in giving that advice and feeling like you're making a difference is a pop.
Right,
like,
right, yeah.
And I think we both did that, but we also both came back to a point that we knew we had to go do something.
Right.
And a lot of kids that get into that trouble and stuff, they don't hit that path.
Right.
They go the other way.
Right.
We both hit a point of, I got to go somewhere in life, and
Right.
fortunately, we both did it well, I guess,
Yes.
at a young age, and we both chose the same industry, just completely different.
Auto industry, yep.
You just chose the side of it that I hate, and it completely different. He went into collision, I went into service. But where did you go to college at?
Wyotech, so Laramie, Wyoming. Went out there. Backtrack just real quick. How I got into that industry was actually my dad. So back to the farm, constantly fixing broken down shit.
So the farm isn't such a bad thing.
No, it's not. You know, Dad, and he taught me a lot of things. I mean, honestly, all the traits that I have today, you know, like construction, I like woodworking. I was doing that at a very young age, like 12, 13 years old. I remember working on our car, or my truck we bought when I was 14, restoring that 87, you know. That brown truck, he was tearing it up, and, you know, doing that at a very young age. So I knew right away, I mean, I think I was 16, and I'd already signed with Wyotech. You know, at 16 years old, I already knew what I wanted to do. Me and Jordan Sabalka.
And so, I remember when you guys went out there. And I really remember it because about that time is when I lost my brother, which was your cousin, which was beyond a cousin to you.
Yeah.
And when I talked about Justin the other day and bringing him on with a friend of mine, I said, it was my brother's best friend, and unfortunately when my brother passed away, you weren't even, and I remember this because it was so impactful to me that you weren't there, and I was looking for you.
Right, where's Justin at?
And why isn't Justin here? Why weren't you able to come?
Well, due to that, so going to Wyotech, it was a very, very intense program. And to be honest with you, there's a lot of good and bad with that.
Yeah.
With the intense program, you're raising essentially like a soldier, you know? I mean, we had to be clean shaven, no beards. They would do a shave check every morning. Your shirt had to have been tucked in.
Smokes.
Had to have steel-toe shoes on. But the worst part about this situation, why I couldn't be back for Derek, if you were gone 3 days from Wyotech, you were expelled. So didn't matter the excuse. You could have
3 days.
3 days. That's all you got.
Funeral for
yeah. So it was a day to drive back, and then the funeral, and then to come back, and that's pushing it. So and it's $10,000 a semester. So and at that time, going to that, I mean, I was broke, man. I was a college student, broke, didn't have money, and I'm like, man, if I fail this class, because I'm going to my, trust me, it was one of the worst times of my life. Good friend of mine, my first cousin, going through cancer, dying at 18 years old. I mean, I was there from the beginning when it started for him, and to miss that, it hit home. But
I felt for you, and
right.
And I don't even know, to be honest with
you,
if I ever watched you and Derek interact.
Yeah,
I don't think I really did.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing pictures.
Oh yeah,
at Dad's house. So
you
guys on the 4-wheeler, his kids out at the farm.
There's a few times right before he got diagnosed, we were tearing it up. That was Dyersville.
Yeah.
He was over in Dyersville.
Yeah, I was too young at that point. Because when he passed away, I was a freshman.
Right.
So throughout that, I've been like 7th, 8th grade. And if you guys were dragging me, I think all of our parents would have killed us.
Oh yeah.
So I think, and there's a part we've talked about in the past a little bit of this, is the broke part when you got to Wyoming.
Yeah.
And we don't have to go into it hard. It's, you made choices, unfortunately, that, and you didn't want to, and you were pushed to choices, but also the choices of having the freedom and the running and all of that led to not getting to reap the benefits of the farm, and because there was a spite and there was an unhealthy breakup. It does happen.
Right.
Did you live like a lifestyle and feel you lost things by losing the income of the farm, but yet you had found a happiness? Because clearly it kind of, you went from having money and things to broke, nothing.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. That's very young age, that's what I'll talk about. I was taught work. I mean, hard work. And anybody that knows me can vouch for me on that. Like, I am just one of the hardest workers out there. Learned at a very young age. Made a lot of money. Even, I remember playing sports in high school. I quit baseball because I wanted to make more money. Playing freshman baseball, loved it. Then I'm like, I'm done with that. Summer, I'm out of school. I need a job. I'm going to make money.
Yep.
And then helping on the farm, doing that. And then I did make quite a bit of decent money as a young kid and bought a truck, then go out to Wyoming. And here we are, I'm not used to this. I have no money, I have no income because I'm going to school 50, 60 hours a week, giving plasma, trying to, Mom would send out $20 a week,
$20
a week.
$20 a week. And we talked about this, where'd that go?
Oh yeah, that went straight to, out there was Keystone Light, not Busch Light.
At least it minimized your alcohol. You only get 30 a week.
Right, But that's where that led into that, things were rough. It was tight. I mean, Wyoming was the best time of my life. Truly one of the best times. I shouldn't say best time, because right now I'm living the best time of my life.
Living the best time.
Yes, but as a kid, I mean, how many kids get to go to a different state, go up in the mountains, party up with your best friend?
Yep.
Even though we were broke.
Times were rough,
yeah,
but it was the best time of your life.
Yeah.
Like,
you don't need money.
You can live the best life with roughness going through that.
Right. You can do it. But it was difficult, because you need money to go get gas. You can't come home because you ain't got gas money. Or, man, I'd like a steak tonight. Well, I guess it's green beans and baked beans. I mean, we went camping one time, me and Jordy, and literally the only thing we brought were baked beans. The only thing. We had baked beans the whole weekend. So...
I don't know if I could have lived. I don't know. I do remember you guys being there, me and Jay. Because me and Jay ended up going to college together.
Yep.
And we both went to DMAC. He went IT.
Yep.
And I went automotive. But
right.
Jordy at the time was down in Des Moines.
Yep.
Working at that shop.
Yep.
So all that kind of came back full circle. And you're best with my cousin Justin. And it continued on. But we'll get past that. I definitely think this all led to, and the farm and all that, and leaving the farm. Yes, okay, now we've moved on. And we've learned things of being broken, learned things in life that we had never learned before.
Right.
But do you think there was still things at that point in life that you held on to from your childhood. We're talking now, out of college, have a career.
Mm-hmm.
Did divorce still have that whole?
It did, honestly. I think as a kid, and I'm going to vouch for probably every child out there, that you never really get rid of that fighting with the parents or having to pick and choose between mom and dad.
Mm-hmm.
No kid should have to pick and choose from any person, let alone, like whether it's grandparents or this or that. All a kid should experience is love.
Wrong terminology. Yeah. No parent should make a kid choose.
Correct.
Not a kid shouldn't have to choose.
Yes.
And it happens. Unfortunately, It does. And it does cause a lot of problems. It causes a lot of trauma into adult.
It did, yeah.
And I'm going, obviously, through that right now. Of kid being withheld, and I'm scared. And we talked about I'm scared of what it's going to do to him long term. Yeah. And there's this, oh, no, he's better off. It kind of caught me off guard of how, when we talked about your story ahead of time, how long that prolonged.
Right.
Which now made me even more uncomfortable. I know that I'm going to have to counter things at some point and hopefully be able to counter those things. But this prolonged a long time.
Yep. And
it definitely was something that was anger on your side.
Yep.
And it goes on to later in life because
it does.
This was a key part of where you went into it. You worked for a body shop, and I'm just going to push here and kind of say where you're at. You were in a body shop working, and you were working from your place. You were very fortunate about an awesome place that you were able to do some work from home, put some money aside, and a shop came available.
Yeah, collision center in Center Point, and bought that when I was 25 years old.
Okay, so at 25 years old, how you just randomly stopped by what you told me earlier, but now you actually it became a reality, and next you know it's a pipe dream that I'm just going to stop and whatever. You ended up hitting some hurdles there to get the shop, obviously at 25, and coming out of Wyotech, spending that kind of money on school.
Yep.
You were short money by what I believe, right?
Right, yep.
And I like this part of the story, because I do, and you go to multiple people, but
so, long story, so I had this opportunity, again, you're right, Brandon, so I worked my tail off. I had a great career at a local body shop in Cedar Rapids, making good money, but then I was also moonlighting, what we call it, in the auto world, where I'm wrenching and doing stuff in my own shop at home at night to make extra money. So money's flowing pretty good, I'm making quite a bit of money, but that's all I'm doing is working. I mean, just work. Shop comes available, and I'm needing about $100,000 equity to put up so I can get this loan from the bank. Well, turns into I asked one of my wife's uncles, my uncle-in-law, and then ask another person, and then his dad catching wind of it, and it's and to be all fair, I was going to pay them something to compensate their money. I mean, they're giving me collateral. They need something in return.
And you to understand that at 25 too, when you were talking about that you had already planned how much interest, how you're going to do it. I was like, I took over Dave Wright at 25, and people were like, how'd you have that mental? We both went into a technician side of a world.
That's right.
And both at 25 hit the peaks of our careers. Essentially where we were going with it.
Right. Yep.
But we were able at that age to do so. Now you ask for money in the wrong goddamn places, what you do, and Dad catches wind.
Then Dad steps in, and
at this point, Dad and you are not getting along, and we won't go to. And you tell what happens,
me and Dad butting heads, and
you chose to go to Mom's. That's
I went to Mom's over the years, just butted heads quite a bit. Dad's now in the predicament where he has the opportunity to help me out
instead of a friend.
Yes,
but you don't know he knows.
Correct. Yeah. So we go from that, and Dad does help me out. I end up getting to buy the shop of my dreams. But from here, buying the shop of my dreams, I had every intention, an ounce of me wanting to pay him back. And I think I paid him back within a year, the $100,000. Well, the bank backed the $100,000. Because I didn't want this held over my head. I didn't want Dad saying, well, I gave you this, I did this. So it was you know, hey, I'm going to work my tail off. We're going to pay this
You were
off.
going to either way.
Yeah, regardless.
No matter who gave you the money, it was coming back.
Yeah, it was coming back to them.
You didn't want the money in general. It wasn't just because of Dad. You didn't want Dad to say this. You just didn't want anyone to say that.
For sure.
You got it.
Yep.
So you buy this shop. Life's great. You got this sweet house. You get married.
Yep.
How many kids?
Currently 1.5, maybe 2. It depends how you want to look at that situation. I do have a son. He's 8 years old, Emmett. And then one on the way.
I'd say like 1 9/10.
We got one coming in 3 weeks, so another boy in 3 weeks. But huge age gap, and me and Brain are going to go into that situation too. Why such the age gap? But yeah, man, I'm pretty stoked.
Life happened in that age gap too. And so you're living this high. You got the first kid. You're married. The nice house, the shop. You're living
the dream. Everybody's saying, "Wow, Justin's got. Look at him. You know, he's making all this money. He's got his own shop. He's got employees. They just built a new house. They put up a new shop. All this stuff. Okay, the list goes on.
Great, and you got this dream, right?
I do. You know,
dreams fall fast.
Yes, they do, and that's where we go into this. Where, you know, I had my mom. I go back to that quote all the time. This mask. I'm got the fancy house, the fancy car, the perfect family, the business is successful, everything's going great to everybody else on the outside. On the inside, man, I'm hurting.
Why are you hurting? At this point in time, where you're at in your head right now, why are you hurting right now?
At this point in time, I'm hurting because, honestly, I think it stems back to you know, the childhood stuff that happened. My mom, you know, she wasn't doing good. And I don't know, should we go into that yet?
So, yeah, I would say so. I mean, honestly, you just keep rolling the plate.
Yeah, so
you're hurting and then things continue.
Yeah, I am hurting and just putting on this mask, you know, like Justin's just this almighty guy. I mean, my ego's huge. You know, nothing can stop me, but deep down inside...
Yeah,
oh man, yeah. No, but deep down inside, that I truly did hurt. I didn't talk to a lot of people about it, and then Mom, she had a mental illness and committed suicide multiple times, or tried committing suicide multiple times, and then leads into she finally got it done. Mom did commit suicide. That was honestly one of the hardest times of my life, you know, like just, it's your mom, you know, first off.
Yeah.
And then seeing it, like seeing her and seeing what happened, like seeing her gone, you know, where you weren't supposed to catch that. So, I already had some basic principles down in my life already at a very young age. I like to party. I'm a socializing guy. I like to drink. Well, what do you think happened there?
I can tell you because I know.
Yes.
We're the same guy and we both had Trump.
Yeah.
It goes. And we're going to push this really fast because we need to get through this first one.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not trying to push through this because goddamn Mom dies.
Mom dies.
And the severity of what you saw, and we won't go into details, is something no human being should see.
No, nobody should see it.
Worse than I didn't know that that's how you saw it. And this continues. You don't address this, correct? I mean,
I don't.
And how do you? You're numb and you go into this duh.
Yeah.
And when you're in the duh, we're guys that we drink beer,
Yeah.
but we drink beer because we've always drank beer and we don't intend to drink beer.
Right. No, it starts out as socializing, you know, you're having fun, you're getting that buzz feeling. Yeah, I'm feeling good, I like this, Justin, look at him, man, I am successful, I am happy, I am this, but am I?
So you go to your happiness.
Like,
now you're trying to find happiness.
Right.
This isn't such a dark time.
Yeah.
You have so much freaking happiness around you.
Mm-hmm.
So much. The house, makes me jealous of you had that happiness at the time of your...
did.
But it overconquers either way.
It does.
And addiction does.
You can have anything in the world. You can be the richest man of the world or have the most beautiful looking face in the world, or the most beautiful looking children, whatever. It boils down to how are you really feeling on the inside and what's really going on. I was, to be honest, Brandon, like not enough man to deal with my emotions. So that drinking party phase that I love so much and being the life of the party and all this stuff.
I wouldn't say not so much. Why weren't you so much man? Is lack of experience. But who in the hell has experience in that category? Because no one goes through it twice. Like, that's one of those things that you couldn't prep for and be man enough to handle.
No,
because any man can say he's man enough to handle it. What's he doing? Wearing the goddamn mask.
Yes, he is. And that's where the other thing, too, like the man. I mean, I had this huge toughness man ego. I was not a crier. I was the tough man, the strong man, the all this. So what did I do? Yes, I drank. I bottled up those emotions and put them away. But the bad part with the drinking is I was a functioning alcoholic. Functioning. I could do it. I could go to work. I could function. I could drive. I could do this.
That's something nobody knew you were doing.
Yeah, I could paint. I could do whatever. Anything I was doing usually involved alcohol with it. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people really didn't know I was drunk, or at least I thought that. I mean, my wife, she knew right away. And close family and friends, they knew, hey, Justin's hurting, But I didn't know how to cope with those emotions. I didn't know how to let them out. And I was too prideful to, I'm not trying to say stoop down to that level, but I was, again, the ego.
You didn't want to be because you're always the happy-go-lucky guy. You didn't want to be this guy.
I didn't want to be vulnerable.
Exactly.
I didn't want people to see me like that.
But do you now?
Oh my.
We're going so far.
Yeah.
Do you believe you have to be vulnerable to you?
Yes, you do. Oh my gosh, vulnerability.
How many people freaking run off into addiction? I ran off into addiction to vulnerability. Yeah. I'm a vulnerable crying. Like, I'm the crying bitch here. You're the. Yes. I did it.
Yeah.
Leads to sobriety.
It does.
And now we lead to sobriety because it didn't lead to sobriety right away. How many times have we tried sobriety?
No, yeah, I have been dealing with, alcoholism for many, many years, and I would say roughly off the top of my head, I probably quit drinking about 7 times.
Which I think is a pretty. I don't know what the number is for alcohol.
7?
I think
I don't know. It is 3.
Mine's 1 for cocaine. I don't think that's the average.
Yes, alcohol is very, very hard because it's accepted in our culture. Hardcore. Everybody
sitting with an alcoholic who's recovered.
Yes,
drinking beer.
And I got my water here. My
Granted, I
water.
didn't do this until I asked you it was okay if I could have a beer.
Very respectful. Yep.
So now, I think what we're gonna do now is we're gonna jump from here to next week.
Yep.
And this is gonna be kind of a part of it. Yep. Yeah. And we haven't. I kind of explained it. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take this. We're gonna post every Monday.
Yep.
And why we're gonna post it every Monday is this is gonna lead to such a positive thing that we want everybody to start their Monday morning and start their week.
Yes. Positive vibes. And plus, who doesn't like a nice cliffhanger?
That's true. That's true. So every Monday, we're going to post this one actually today. We're going to cheat or tomorrow whenever I get the thing done.
Yeah.
And then we're going to post another one Monday. So we're going to burn up 2 pretty quick. But we're going to jump into number 2 here, and we're going to come on to a whole nother subject. But please hang on with us. Get into 2 because this is where we're really going to start to take this and where you guys are going to get caught on and hang on. So
right on.
We appreciate you guys. Thank you. Brandon, today's good. Justin Klein, here comes number 2.
Yep.